Hi, Mr. Matthew. My name is Tan Yongjin, and welcome to my presentation on the Mastermind computer game project. So just a brief overview of what I'll be presenting today. I'll first start off with the introduction and explain a bit on what Mastermind is and how it works. Then I'll move on to the question and answers, and I'll answer a few questions regarding the Mastermind program, and then I'll end it off with a conclusion. So what is Mastermind? Basically, Mastermind originated from the original Mastermind board game, which is a passcode guessing game. And in this new version, instead of a physical board game, it has become a computerized version with the help of Python programming language. There are also new features added to this version, which will help make the game more interesting and fun. So how does it work, you might ask? So firstly, the computer will generate a random 4-color code, and then the player would have to try and guess the 4-color code generated. After every attempt made, player will also be given a clue to help in making their next guess. I will explain more in detail as to how the clues work in the next slide. Thus, the objective for the game for the player is to guess the correct color code in as few tries as possible. Moving on, here are some additional information on the game. For the code, there will be a total of 6 possible colors, which are red, green, yellow, blue, orange, and pink. But do keep in mind that this same color can also repeat more than once. To enter in your choice of color, do enter in the first initial of colors. For example, as seen in the picture, where the letter R is entered to represent the color red. Next, the letter C represents the number of correct color but at the wrong position, whereas P represents the total of correct color at the right position. And so now, we'll move on to the video demonstration. So this is how the program will look like when it's first run. And if you're new to the game, I would suggest you type in help for information and instructions on how to play the game. So now we'll display the help menu, and you may enter in 1, 2, or 3. I'll enter in 1, and here will be the instructions on how to play the game. So I'll go back to the game. Okay, so below here is actually the correct answer, but it won't be displayed in the program. It's now displayed just for presentation purposes. So let's begin entering our choice. So the correct answer is green, blue, pink, orange. We enter in pink, orange, green, blue. It will display 4C. It's because there are 4 colors which are correct but in the wrong position. So if we enter in green, blue, 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 it will show 2 correct positions. They're in the correct position and they're the correct color. So if you type in a random word, it will say wrong format or choice. If you type in more than code, it will also say random choice and please try again. And type in, let's say, green, 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 green. It will show 1 correct position. So now let's enter in the correct password. And after entering the correct password, it will show password decoded. Congratulations. So you'll be told to enter in your name. I'll enter in my name. And there, a scoreboard will appear. The scores represent the number of attempts you took. And the answer for each attempt that you have made will also appear here. So you'll be told whether you would like to play the game again. If you like to play, just press yes. If you don't want to play, then press no. I'm gonna press no, and it will show thank you for playing. Now we'll move on to the question and answer, answering a few questions regarding the program. For question 1 on how the interactive menu is designed to help users play the Mastermind game, well, as seen in the main menu, the possible color combinations are shown, together with how the answer is supposed to be formatted. Next, the help menu is also available for those who are unfamiliar with the Mastermind game. Lastly, when the player guesses the password, the scoreboards and their answers are also shown. For the next question on how this is applied, well, for Mastermind game, this has been used in 4 different ways. Firstly, to store user input. Then it is also used in storing the possible colors and also the color code generated. Next, it is also used in storing the converted input of users from letters into words. Lastly, it is even used in storing temporary values. Moving on, as seen earlier, lists are often used in storing of values. Therefore, it will be helpful in the computational problems when it requires dealing with multiple values. And so, moving on, now we'll talk on the topic of randomized values. So how is randomized values generated in this mastermind game? Well, firstly, we imported the random module from library, and then we used the random function, random.choice. This function randomizes the values and includes repeated values. Then next, we choose the values from color list 2, and then out of this, we select 4 colors. And then to store the values randomized, we then store it in main colors. And so with randomization, it allows random values to be generated. Thus, this can be really helpful as it allows more possible combination of values to be generated instead of one same value which is preset beforehand. So next, we'll now talk on decision making. So how was decision making applied in Mastermind computer game? Well, decision making is applied 3 ways. Firstly, decision making is used to ensure the input matches the requirements. Then decision making is used to check users' input for any possible clues to be displayed. And lastly, decision making is also used to display the output that the user has chosen. So why is decision making necessary for the Mastermind computer game? Well, Mastermind computer game is actually an interactive computer game which takes in input from the players. Therefore, there will be many combinations of answers which the players will give. Therefore, with decision making, the program will then know what to execute if a user enters a certain value. This will grant more smoother and pleasant experience for the user. While decision making is often involved in checking whether a condition is true or false. So with this function, it will then be really helpful for problem solving to know which course of action needs to be executed. And so now we'll move on to the iterative process. So how is iterative process used in the Mastermind computer game? Well, iterative process is used 3 ways. First way is to keep a function in a loop until it is terminated. Second way is to loop to ensure user enters a valid input. And lastly, it is used to print values stored in a list. And so, why do we need iterative process in Mastermind computer game? Well, with iterative process, it then removes the need to retype the whole code again. With this, it can then reduce the amount of codes in the program. With lesser codes, program will become less complex. Therefore, future programmers can easily understand the codes too. Well, iterative process helps keep a certain function in a loop until it is terminated, as mentioned earlier. This would then be really helpful, allowing repetition of same function multiple times without the need to retype the whole code. So now we'll move on to lastly the user-defined function. So how was user-defined function used in the Mastermind computer game? Well, we used user-defined function in the help menu and is used in solving the C and P value, and is also used in the scoreboard. With subprograms, which is also known as the user-defined function, the advantages of it is that it will make easier to manage and understand the program, and is reusable without need to retype the whole pile of codes again. It is also easier to locate the errors and bugs in the program. And so now we'll move on to the conclusion. And so in conclusion, through this project, it has helped improve my understanding on programming. Besides that, it has also improved my programming skills, not only on the fundamentals, but also in debugging and locating the problems. In the future, I hope to be able to improve the design of the Mastermind game with better graphic design and GUI. Not only that, but I also hope to add in new features such as timer, difficulty level, to improve the overall experience of the player. And so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.